This podcast is powered by The Plug. The Connect with graffiti.
My man, Prince Dykes, what's up, brother?
Man, what's going on, man? I'm glad to finally make it to the Connect.
Hey, come on, man. The Investor Show. This is a nice little crossover right here, man.
Yeah.
I'm actually a fan of your show. I watch your show a lot.
Man, yeah, I appreciate it.
People see me and they're like, "Oh, you do podcasting in Denver?" I'm like, "Yeah, there's another podcast y'all got to check out." And then I'm looking at it. I'm like, "Oh, y'all already watching that?"
Y'all already
That's the Investor Show. But yeah, man, how you living out here?
Man, I'm doing pretty good, man. Definitely glad to be here. I think what Max connected us originally back in the day, he was just like, man, you know, you got to get with, when he said your first name, I was thinking you were totally different from what I had expected.
Yeah.
And when he said your government name, he was like, hey, you got to connect. I got to connect you with Leonard Johnson. Johnson, right?
Yeah.
Connect you with Leonard Johnson. I'm like, oh, okay. He's the director over here.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know how long ago was that back then, but that was the first time I saw your name.
Yeah.
Heard your name. Then I started looking you up, and my guy, he's not here right now, but he always like look at all my emails, everybody that reaches out. So he's like, hey, Prince, man, you need to talk to this guy.
Get back with your boy.
Hey, you need to get back with him. So, yeah, definitely glad to be here, man.
That's what's up, man. So how's your mentals? That's my favorite question.
Man, I would say kind of all over the place a little bit.
Got it.
Got a lot going on, a lot of barnacles out. Big changes happened in my life. So, it's definitely been a big – I'm in a good space.
Right.
I'm in a good space. But, man, that's a good question. Never been asked that question.
It's an important question, man. We always say, how you doing?
People don't
and
care
how's
about your
everything
mental
going?
these days.
People be like, oh, yeah, we cool. We moving. You're thinking about business and all that. But mentally.
Yeah, you got 5 things going on. Because people think about it, I have to, like, my son, he was talking to me, Dad, I'm strong. He's 12 years old. He's getting ready to turn 13. And I would tell him, like, hey, man, the biggest muscle you have and most powerful muscle you have is your brain.
Yeah.
Like, I don't do anything physical. I'm not the guy who climbs on top of the house and shovels snow off.
Right.
I'm not that type of guy. But I use a lot of mental power every day, thinking my way through things, knowing the next steps, knowing what you're doing. Because in the world of entrepreneurship, knowing what to do and when to do it and timing, right? That is like one of the hardest things. Hey, something that don't work today, will it work tomorrow?
Yeah.
You have you have deals that's relying upon someone else's deals.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm always punctual with everything, because you just never know what somebody's doing that's gonna rely on you. So
absolutely,
it's pretty deep, man.
It is, man. It is. And we were talking off mic just about the longevity and how long you've been doing what you do. So how long exactly have you been in your field?
Oh man, 2013, man. Some people could consider me, original OG back in the day. So, a little bit about my story was I started in 2013 when I very first came to YouTube, right after I finished grad school.
Got it.
So I was in the military, and I went to school, and got my associate's and my bachelor's. I got my MBA, and I said, once I finish my MBA, I want to put myself out there that if I retire, I want to go into this field. So 2013, I think I started with like a Facebook page. Then I went from a Facebook page. Back then, Facebook, you couldn't even put videos.
Yeah.
So it was Facebook. Then YouTube was kind of like it was for the rejects.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to be on TV. I tried to get on TV, but I had no TV plugs. I didn't know how to get on TV, or I didn't know what that looked like, or I didn't know anybody that was on TV, so I couldn't get on TV. So I didn't do TV. And then I tried to get on the radio.
Yep.
Right? I had no plugs to the radio.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, this thing called YouTube and a thing called internet radio.
Mm-hmm.
So I started like around that blog, talk, radio time frame. So, but I'm so glad that happened.
Yeah.
Because if I had access to television and I had access to radio, I would have never created the Investor Show.
Right.
Or had I had access to schools to go share my ideas with schools, I would have never published what you see today, Wesley Learns.
Yeah.
So all of that stuff that I thought was a handicap at the time became my strongest power.
Man.
Because now my biggest thing is I don't need to be on TV or radio, because I can hit the upload button and reach thousands of people around the country.
Audience.
Built my own. And then back when I was doing my content, it was not popular back then.
Yeah.
Nobody was talking about, hey, investing and doing this. And even when I pitched the Shark Tank, I pitched a Shark Tank in 2017 and became a finalist for the show.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't get selected. I only had one book at the time, Wesley Learns to Invest. And I was like, I want to turn this into a book series and take it around. And people can go online and see my B-roll footage,
Yep.
right? And, back then they were like, oh, no, this is, but they didn't pick it up. But I met Famous Amos Cookies there. He was on the show twice. And he liked my first book. And he helped me launch my second book, Wesley Learns About Credit.
Yeah.
But then I fast forward today, I see the same people on Shark Tank. Now they got Damien Learns to Earn. I'm like, okay, now
it's the thing.
8 years later, you know what I'm saying? Now you want, so that's why I'm coming back out.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I said, okay, I just want to play, but hey, let's play.
Man, it's interesting because that story sounds a lot like my story as well. A lot of us creators, especially in this space, have kind of that similar. We can't get with the big dogs. We can't get on FM. We can't get on TV, so we do it ourselves. That same little boom bubble of internet radio at the time before podcasting was really called podcasting. Yeah. That's how I entered this space as well. And looking back, man, they say hindsight is 20/20 because it's the same thing. It's like now what I was doing then is the thing to do right now, and that put me kind of above a lot of the people doing it because I've already planted that flag. But back then it used to piss me off because I'm like, man, come on, man. I know I could be on the radio, I could be on TV. What's up? So building that foundation early, man, is crucial to what we do.
And this is the secret sauce. Like I was watching, shout out to Country Wayne. I was watching his interview yesterday on Club Shay Shay, and like now his biggest thing is social media.
Yep.
Right. So he's from my hometown, like 20 minutes south of me, right? So that's the thing that I saw with him that I enjoyed, and it was inspiring to see him because the same thing happened to me.
Yeah. Where
it became like of course I'm not as big as Country Wayne is comedy, but entertainment rules the country
for sure.
We live in a world where an entertainer makes more than a surgeon.
Yeah.
Entertainers make more than school teachers, right? So, but I mean, that's just the word. I didn't make the rules, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Right? It is what it is. I'm, hey, go get your paper, go get your money.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, when I saw that, I try to tell people, and I like what you post today when you say, when you get into, I don't know how many people call me, Prince, man, how can I build up my podcast?
Yeah.
How can I get to that 1,000 subscribers? How can I do X, Y, Z? I want to make money, right? I don't do anything for viewership, sharing, or whatever. I just be myself.
Yeah.
Talk about what I like, upload what I like, what I do. If you rock with it, man, that's great. If you don't, then cool.
It's not for
right?
you. Yeah.
It's not for you, right? So I say, hey, man, be yourself. And over time, it will slowly happen for you. Even though when you're in that time frame, you're watching everybody else. You're watching this person. You're watching, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the game changes all the time. Like you look at YouTube, one of the biggest things that helped me with YouTube in the last month or so has been shorts.
Yep. Which didn't exist until recently.
Didn't exist. I got on the short. Somebody hit me up, and I got onto the short game, taking my old interviews, which I got a ton of. I got a ton of interviews from I don't even, like I just uploaded one, I think probably last night with me and Warren Buffett, right? So back when we recorded that wasn't even, shorts wasn't even a thing back then.
Yeah.
So, but hey, the game changed, and I just move along with it and just,
you got to.
And I appreciate it.
So I want to rewind and talk about some things, but you just hit a point that I've been wanting to speak about a little bit. So today, I was talking about how a lot of people will contact me and be like, man, I'm thinking about starting a podcast. How can I get paid off that? How can I monetize that? And I'm like, man, if you think that's how this game works, you should probably look at some other options because, for one, unlike music, podcasting doesn't have a number attached to it. I remember Joe Budden going on a rant a few years back about, how much is a stream worth when it comes to podcasting. We still don't know the answer because, even though it's not much, you can get on Spotify, play your song, your artist, your song, X amount of plays is going to equal X half of a cent or whatever. Podcasters don't have that. We rely on different outlets for monetization. So I say it's an extension of your personal brand because if you don't have a brand, you can't reach an audience, you can't move merch, reach sponsors, you're not getting paid.
Oh yeah. You it's like you said, you have to be like when people watch, let's say you look at Joe Rogan, Shannon Sharp, all the big pocket. A lot of those guys, we got to think about it. when you watch a place like Drink Champs or you watch CNBC, millions of dollars was put in behind their name.
Absolutely.
Years ago.
Absolutely.
Right? And even though, no matter what type of, like, people look at Joe, but, he was a failed rapper, but millions of dollars was put behind that name. So now once that contract is up, that name can go anywhere.
Right.
The same thing in the NFL, right? Hey, I played in the NFL for, I don't know, 5, 6, 10 years or whatever, and once they're done, they could easily jump on the platform. That name still carries for them to go do other things, to get in other deals. So you can't, mimic them and say, hey, I'm going to be this person. But, you just have to be yourself. And I don't know. I'm not a creator. I'm not somebody who knows how to, like, hey, let me take you, I'm a PR person.
Yeah.
That's not me by any stretch. But I just tell people, man, you just got to be yourself, be consistent. And I don't know, man, you just got to get a blessing from above for people to tune in.
You got to, but that's the formula, like you said, just being yourself. But that's a heavy, heavy piece of all of it is people will use those examples. Like, even myself, like you'll say Joe Budden or you'll say any of the Joes. You'll say Nori. Now you'll say Cam and Mace, Gillian Wallow. Yes, these are names we already know. And like you said, it's the name. It's not necessarily the show. So when you're looking at Stephen A. and Shannon Sharp right now, and you like, man, Shannon got Club Shay Shay, he got Nightcap, he's on First Take, he blah, blah, blah. It's because we're consuming Shannon Sharp.
Exactly, exactly. And Shannon Sharp was built in Denver.
Yeah, that's a fact.
He was
Shout
built.
To Shannon.
Shout out to Shannon. Shannon was built into Denver, and because hey, he became a Hall of Famer. Yeah. And by him being a Hall of Famer, he can. That's what if he. If he wasn't an athlete, right? So to me, and I'll tell you this, no diss to athletes, entertainers, or whatever. I don't really, when it comes down to business or anything like that, I don't really look to athletes and entertainers and celebrities because I can't relate.
Got it.
Right? Because I didn't grow to be 7'2", right? And could dunk basketball, so I can't relate to Shaq.
Right.
Right? So hey, by him doing that, he was able to get $100 million. Right, about $1 billion. What he made it through his NBA career, and endorsements, and he can walk straight into TNT and be XYZ. You take Shannon. Shannon came out here. He's from down the road from where I'm from too, down in Georgia. And hey, he come to Denver, make a name for himself, and that transitions to other aspects of business, opportunities that I don't have. So I'm like, the person I like is Robert Smith.
There we go.
That's my guy.
Shouts to Robert Smith.
Right. Shouts out to Robert Smith because I like Michael V. Roberts, Robert Smith. Those are the guys who kind of came up and had to use what they had, their muscle. Hey, I'm not 7'2". I can't run a 4.2. Yeah. I'm not comedian, entertainer, or whatever. Yeah. So how do I use my brain? I have to use my brain to get to, the positions that I want to get to. So when I watch those guys on the chessboard, hey, you know what? Hey, those are the guys that I admire.
For sure. Yeah. So let's talk about that, man. Let's rewind a little bit and just kind of talk about the upbringing and, kind of past life of a young Prince. What was that looking like?
Oh, me, man. I'm from very humble beginnings, man. Waynesboro, Georgia, to be exact. Burke County, Georgia, small town. I think it's a population of maybe like 5,000. I'm the youngest of 4. Okay. My mom and dad, my late mom now, she passed away about 11 years ago now. But, I still have my dad. I'm blessed to have him. He just had his 78th birthday. But a great father. He was military. He was a school teacher. Okay. So, kind of like a middle-class childhood. And, it was nothing about me. I wasn't athletic. I wasn't very academic. Right. I wasn't academic. Wasn't nothing very about it. Wasn't academic. I wasn't athletic. So, and, then I had I don't know why I had behavior issues, but I did. I don't know. I just did.
Just like to act up a little bit.
Yeah, act up a little bit. Yeah. I wasn't a bad kid, but I just got into stuff and, whatever. So, grew up from there. And that was me for the most part, my childhood. I met my now wife in high school. Okay. Met her. And, I was kind of a vanilla guy. It's like all my brothers had something good. Like my oldest brother was big, so he was like a defensive tackle. My second oldest brother, he was fast, so he was good at track and a wide receiver. Right. My third oldest brother, he was like fast and strong, so he was like a linebacker and fullback or whatever. I come along, I ain't got none of it. Right. I'm like, all skipped you. All skipped me. So they saw me, they like, oh, we got Dykes, he going to blah, blah. Man, no. Yeah. I remember to this day, I like football when I was in the Pee Wee leagues, But I got to middle school, and I made a hit, and the coach was like, no, you got to do that again. And he kept making me do it until I just ran into this guy full speed.
Yeah.
Right? I laid on the ground. The guy flipped over me. I'm dizzy. And he stands over me. That's what you need to do every play. And I was like, yeah, this ain't for me.
This ain't for me.
That was my
I'm
last
not doing
day.
that every play.
I was like, that was my last play. Everybody was just like, hey, that's it, man. Everybody give me, hit me on my back. Yeah, that's it, man. I know you can do it. I'm like, yeah. I went home. I took my pads off. Yeah, that ain't me right there.
Yeah.
So played a little bit of basketball or whatever, but I never was I wasn't athletic. I wasn't academic. Had a little bit behavior issues, and I got recruited my junior year. Just talked to my recruiter yesterday. Johnny Gilchrist came down. He's from my hometown. Recruited me in high school to come to the Navy and signed up for the Navy. And I went out to the Navy at the age of 18, right out of high school.
Got it.
So I was my junior year in high school. He recruited me. I graduated, went out to Great Lakes, Illinois, and that started my career.
Man, so let's talk about the Navy a little bit and just kind of the principles and everything that was instilled in you from that experience.
Yeah, the military experience, I ended up doing 20 years, but man, I met friends across the world, across the globe, that still support me to the day, that I still, know. Shout out to all of them. But I learned the corporate environment. The Navy was awesome. I went, the thing that got me in the Navy is crazy and as cliche as it sounds.
Yeah.
It was a commercial. I know the actor's face, but I don't know his name.
Okay.
And he said, if somebody wrote a book about your life, would anybody want to read it? Join the Navy today. So when I heard that, I was like, man, because a lot of people that I knew was existing. They wasn't living. Right. They was just, hey, doing whatever they could do to get by. Hey, I go work this job, just do this to get by. They had no dreams, no aspirations. Nobody was really going off, because you're from a small town. So you got to think about it. When you're in that small town, you're here in Denver, you're in a metropolitan area. You got radio stations, you got podcasts, you got television, you got schools and line. We didn't have that. There was no radio. There was no TV. There was people, you really see people go down the street and get a record deal with, I'm at the gas station and, I saw John Elway. That don't happen in my town. Yeah. Why would he be here, right? So that seemed like a far-fetched idea to do. So when I left, I wanted to do something interesting in life, like something different. Right. So I was on submarines. So I was on fast attack submarines, and I was a scuba diver, and I worked in intelligence. I was a cryptological technician throughout my career. So my career, it gave me an opportunity to go to school. I was able to go to school and get my associate's degree, bachelor's degree, all my different licenses, travel the world, live on the East Coast, live on the West Coast, live in the South. I ended up going to Iraq, Iraq on the ground. But I got a chance I literally drove across the country from Connecticut all the way to California, from California back to Florida back to Texas, Texas to Colorado. So I always tell people I was stationed in San Diego on the West Coast. I was stationed on the East Coast in Connecticut. Right. Then I lived in the South down in Florida, Pensacola, Florida. Then I was in Hawaii for a good bit. And now I'm in the middle of America. Right. So I've seen the East Coast. I lived on the West Coast.
Building that life experience.
That gave me that. And then I was able to retire at like 37, 38 years old. Right. That's how the 20 years ended up. And, by the military giving those opportunities, my wife, she went off and got her master's as well. And I would have never thought what I thought today, now I own my own firm. Yeah. So I didn't even know what that was back then and how to, but that gave me the opportunity and it gave me the financing to start my own things, travel to New York, go to New York Stock Exchange, travel to Omaha, all over the world. And it made traveling to me as nothing. I can hop on a plane, get off I'm used to traveling, packing up, leaving. So the military taught me a lot of discipline. It taught me taught me leadership. I was a chief in there. So, I always had a lot of doing leadership, entrepreneurship. I learned out of it. I mean, I tell anybody it was the best decision that I made in my life thus far.
Just being able to see the world, just open up your horizons to different things is so crucial, man.
I didn't even go global. I don't know. I think I went to like 14, 15 countries throughout my career, all over Europe, all over Asia. The only bad part about it, is now things get old to me fast.
Okay.
Because I was moving every 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Every 2-3 years I was moving, you know. I mean, the first year I'm kind of realizing, oh, this is where I'm living.
Right.
The second year you're like, oh, this place is cool. The third year you're picking to go to the next spot.
Yeah, ready to go.
So it was gone. You know, I was doing that for 20 years. So this is the place I lived the longest.
Yeah.
So things get old. You're like, man, you know. But good thing, you know, Denver's growing. You see stuff popping up all the time.
Yeah.
That you see, you know, things kind of happen. But yeah, you know, I got here. Then once I got here, I stayed here about a year to check it out. You know, brought a house here and just, you know, just kind of went. And you know, Denver's been very receptive.
Planted your feet for a while, right?
Yeah. I was like, that's pretty cool.
Man. So investment, of course.
Yeah.
We got to just talk investing. So you said earlier, you know, the content that you were doing from the jump, it wasn't as popular back then.
No, it wasn't, definitely.
I could say personally, a lot of the content I consume daily is, you know, shout out to Earn Your Leisure, Market Mondays, and that's the stuff I'm watching all the time. But I think it was a boom kind of around that COVID quarantine era where people were like, man, I need to figure out how to make money, how to make my money make money. That's when everybody's looking at cryptocurrencies and stocks and investing in those words, which is keywords. You couldn't stop hearing it. So boom, Investor Show is really booming at this point because you've been talking that talk.
Yeah.
So let's just talk about just the investment in financial industries, man. You said you got your own firm.
Yeah, I got one. Yeah, Royal Financial Investment Group is a local registered investment advisor here in Aurora. Running out of my basement.
Oh, out your basement.
Started with $500 under management. Now I manage over 7 figures.
That's what's up, man. Yeah. That's what's up. So somebody like me, I'm consuming all this content I'm watching. I'm like, man, I need to learn how to invest. I need to learn where to put my money, what to do with it. Just some pointers, some advice, some steps, man. Give me something tangible.
Here we go. So the first thing is, it's 2 ways. I would say this. You got to know the history of it. So our previous generation grandparents, they suffered from not having enough information, right? They just didn't know. My dad was like, son, I didn't know I could invest for you. I didn't know I could do this for you or whatever, right? This generation suffers from too much information. So the old generation didn't do nothing because they didn't know. This generation, they paralyzed because they know too much.
Right.
You can't tell most people anything. So we can sit here and you got stuff feeding to you on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. There's a plethora of scams out there. There's a plethora of things that are just straight BS, right? But that's not my job to call him. I shout out to JT, Pocket Watching with JT. I love Pocket Watching with JT.
He'll let you know.
He will let you know. I love what he is like what I would like to be, but I can't be.
Not quite
you know what I mean? I can't do that. You know, that's not my lane. So I just watch him and I just tell him, shout out to JT, we talk, chit out on DMs or whatever. I'm like, man, love what you do. That's his lane. I don't get in nobody else's lane, right? So, but I seen it from a mile away. Like, this is crazy, you know? Because, like I said, I went to school for all these different licenses and certifications and getting registered. I know what, bull crap looks like. Yeah. So my advice for anybody is there's 2 ways to do everything, right? I'm not a mechanical guy. I'm not going to be somebody that's going to, you're not going to catch me on my weekends, putting a battery in my truck, taking a battery out my truck, none of that, right? I'm going to go to a mechanic. Either I'm going to learn to do it myself or you're going to go to a mechanic. So you go to the world of investing. Now, this is the tricky part I was telling somebody the other day. Either you're going to learn to do it yourself or you're going to go find someone to do it for you that you know and trust. Right? So if you find somebody out there that's saying something, doing something, whatever, go to Broker Check. Just Google the word Broker Check.
Broker Check.
Broker Check. Go to Broker Check. That's the SEC. It's going to tell you. You could go on the Broker Check right now and type in Prince Dykes. It's going to tell you everything about me. Oh, this guy, this is his address. This is how long he's been in. These are the firms he worked at. You could type in my firm name, Royal Financial Investment Group. Boom. This is what he's managing. This is what he's doing. It's open record. I'm registered. I got a license number, right?
Yeah.
Hey, he has a, don't mean I'm better than nobody.
Yeah. It just means you're legit.
Mean you legit, right? It's just like just because you're a medical doctor doesn't mean that, hey, you know medicine better than Dr. Sebi. Right. It just means that if you do something wrong, you know better. Yeah. That's all a driver's license means. You could drive. Yeah. It just means that the police you should know what a red light is. Yeah. And if you don't know what a red light is, too bad to be for you. Here's the ticket, going about your way. Right. So those are 2 big things that I noticed. That's the first thing I would tell people. If you're going to go the way of looking for somebody, and guess what? You can go on the SEC Broker Check, type in your zip code, and it's going to give you every licensed firm that's out there. Right?
So do them fact checks.
You can do a fact check. So now you can type in your zip code, And if you want to go the independent route and go check out an independent firm, talk to them. This is who I am.
Yeah.
Right. This is what I'm doing. I got a 401k. I got a whatever. Or I'm looking to. I won a lawsuit. Whatever the case may be. This is what I'm looking to do. And you're interviewing them just as well as they're interviewing you.
Right.
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 You take me. I'm not open to the public. Nobody could just call me and just say, "Hey, Prince is going to do this." I have to sit down with the person and get to know them. They have to get to know me.
Right.
And I have to see, like, okay, well, this would make sense. And, now I could manage X, Y, Z or whatever.
You're a professional at what you do.
A professional at what I do. You just can't look me up online and say, hey, go to this and Prince is going to do this. And, hey, just come to me and I'll do this. No, that's not me, right?
Right.
There are plenty of people, and people probably will watch this, will know that I have turned them away.
Yeah.
And it's been some celebrities, basketball players or whatever the case would be. And I just came back and just said, hey, no, that's not a good time, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't think I can help you or whatever the case would be or whatever. Ron Artest, Ron Artest.
For sure.
Ron Artest, when I very first met Meta, he came to me, hey, Prince, man, he was still with the Lakers. Hey, I got this and I want you to, I was like, man, it ain't the time.
Yeah.
I'm not the guy right now. I might grow into that. Right. And, we talk on the phone now, hey, yeah, I'm doing this now, but I wasn't in the past.
Yeah.
But I don't care about dollar amounts of people. I learned that from Warren. I don't want to segue in that, but we could talk about that later.
Yeah. I mean, man, you talked to Warren Buffett, bro. Come on. It's
a little flex.
That's a light flex.
It's a little flex.
That's a light flex.
That was years ago too.
Yeah.
But,
right. When you started out.
Yeah, but
I'm gonna let you live though. Go ahead.
Yeah. But I'll tell you the lesson I had learned from him on that. But so I would first tell people, decide if you're going to be by yourself, you're going to learn this on your own, or if you're going to go get a professional. If you're going to go get a professional, or you want to go talk to an independent advisor, you're going to go to the SEC.gov, Google the word broker check, find a firm, interview people, see who you like, see who you can trust. That's the biggest key. If you don't trust them, that's it.
Right.
They could match what you do. If you like Bitcoin, they don't like Bitcoin, maybe you should go to somebody else.
Right.
If you want 30% a year and this person talking about 8%, go to somebody else. Right? If this person just want to put you in some mutual funds and you don't like that, go to some. I have friends of mine who believe the world is going to end.
Yeah.
They call me all the time. Hey, man, I'm getting a bunker, and I'm going to sell all my money, and I want to get all gold and silver, and what you think?
Yeah.
The dollar's going to collapse. BRICS is going to take over, this and I say, hey, I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
My personality, I'm a very optimistic, and I'm a very bullish person. I tell people all the time, the U.S. dollar and economical system is not backed by gold, currency, good faith. It's backed by the U.S. military. So shout out to everybody out there in the military too. That's who it's backed by.
Yeah.
Nobody can come over here and we owe China a bunch of debt, but who gonna come check us?
That's real.
Yeah, we printed out trillions of dollars, but who gonna tell us, hey, stop printing?
Yeah.
Who?
Bet y'all ain't gonna run up though. That's basically what
exactly.
he's saying. Yeah.
Right? Remember Gaddafi?
Yeah.
Out in Libya when he said, hey, you know what? I'm not taking dollars no more. I'm only gonna take gold. What happened to Gaddafi?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you're right.
Now I'm not doing a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm just saying, when it's just like in the streets. If you don't have no muscle, you can't move anything.
And this is America. We know about flexing muscle.
Exactly. Long as we got the biggest muscle, we can do whatever we want to do.
Right.
We can come up, because look at it. The reason why in 1929 we had a Great Depression, right? 1929, but in the 30s went into a Great Depression. It was triggered by the 1929 market crash, right? In the 30s, when we had the Great Depression, this is what created all the regulatory bodies we have now. The Securities Acts. I think it was Roosevelt was the president. He to build that confidence back into the financial system, right? If we did not have those things that Roosevelt created back in the 30s, and when we had the pandemic, we would have had an economical collapse,
right?
Worse than the Great Depression, right? The Federal Reserve came in, printed money. The Federal Reserve lowered interest rates. They gave it all these stimulus checks, all this other stuff like that, right? And we have those tools now because of what? Right. What was done back in the 30s. Right. Also, too, what happened in the pandemic nobody talked about was the market, how many days they closed the market.
Yeah.
How many days. So I actually got invited up there to the Wall Street. Shout out to Peter Tuchman, who brought me up there, the oldest trader and the most popular trader on the floor, DMs me and says, hey, you want to come up?
Yeah.
I was like, sure, right? way before a lot of other people
Yeah.
started going up there hanging out or whatever, you know. So he brought me up there, and I got a chance to see the floor. He let me do my podcast on the floor of the trade, of the trading center, right, or the trading floor or whatever, right. So the thing is, when I look back, and I see all that now, you talking about in '87 when you had, I think it was Black Tuesday, when you see the market collapse, lose 20-30% in a day, that would have happened in the pandemic. But they had those interlocks.
Yeah.
Oh, the market dropped, boom, they shut the market off, boom. Let's try again, because they know when fear hit the market, they know what happened in 29. So if we didn't have those laws, it would have been worse than the Great Depression. We was able to have that little dip, then take off into an economical boom because of the tools that we have. I tell people, read the book, The $1 Trillion Triage, right? These people.
$1 Trillion Triage.
The $1 Trillion Triage. You talk about a $1 Trillion Triage, I read a lot too.
That's why I repeated it. Write it down, man.
Yeah, I do read a lot. Yeah. So when you look at people, I know a lot of weird names like Jerome Powell. I know who Jane Yellen is. Okay. Jane Yellen, our Secretary of Treasury. Our Jerome Powell, our Federal Reserve, who's really the most powerful man on Wall Street. Yeah. But nobody talks about the Fed chair. You know, knowing who the Fed chair is, knowing who Stephen Mnuchin is, right? All those guys. And low key, you know who those guys talk to, who their mentor is? Warren.
I was going to say, you like flex.
They sit back. Man. I mean, think about it.
Yeah, no, that's real.
I always idolize Warren into my industry. Yeah. Right? Because I always look at the top of whatever I was doing. Yeah. And I said, and think about it, not that many people have been around and seen that much that he's seen. Yeah. You know, and to be honest, I mean, no shade to Warren and Berkshire, but he probably got me about a good 5 years. Yeah. Charlie Munger just passed away, his right-hand man.
Yeah, right? To say they getting up there is a extreme understatement.
Most people, a lot of people who got rich in the last 10, 15, 20 years, you know, like you see the people that pop up online, Ty Lopez, the Grant Cardones, all the people, you know, Patrick Bet Davis, shout out to all those guys. A lot of those guys seen a lot of their wealth in the last 20 years. How many people you can see going back to the 90s? Most of them don't even know what the 90s looked like, the 80s, the 70s, the 60s. This man was around investing when we was on a gold standard. He saw us become a fiat currency. Yeah. Right? He's seen, I mean, this man was alive doing Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
The stuff that was in black and white. Yeah. You know what I mean? So if I can see and learn and talk from that, man, that's invaluable. Yeah. You know how much lunch costs with him?
I don't, Prince.
If you Google it, you have your producer Google how much is lunch.
I have no idea. I'm not quite there yet.
Can he Google? Can he look up how much is lunch with Warren Buffett? Look it up. Look it up. You can literally, people pay once a year. Yeah. You know, we go to charity, right? People pay. Look how much that costs.
Shit, man.
Right? Just to sit down. The man's getting older and think about it. If you was in his shoes, you wouldn't talk to nobody anyway.
Yeah, that's a fact.
I'd be like, man, I ain't got time. Come on, man. Hey, man, that's cool. But I wouldn't either.
Man, it's priceless.
How much you got, Brandon?
19 million.
19 million for lunch for Warren Buffett. Man, all right, so let's talk about these books, man.
Yeah. Oh, so I didn't mean to get off on that tangent.
You could.
But if you're gonna go with somebody,
like super broke boy,
you got to go that way, right? Yeah. If you're going to start out with the world of investors, you go to the S&P 500. Okay, that's your top 500 companies in America.
S&P,
S&P, which is VOO, VOOO. It's a stock symbol. Okay, or you can go with SPY. Right? That's what I give to kids. Okay. Right? So those are the top, that is the benchmark of finance. And when I tell people to benchmark, how do you know if your investment did good in 2023? You got, let's say if you earned 18% last year, was that good?
Right.
Was that, you know, hey, in 2022, I earned 5%. Was that good? See, 18% was not good last year because S&P did 26.
Got it.
But if you did 5% in 2022, I did pretty good because the market dropped like 19%, right? So that is your benchmark. So when I look at a piece of real estate or any investment, I look at, this is my baseline. You know, what is your baseline? Is this investment doing better? Is it matching? How my portfolio's doing? I'm always lining up on the S&P 500, right? Now, it's not good to do that over the short term, not every day. Oh, man, I'm below the S&P. I need to, no. But over time, you know, Warren like to do 3 years. He don't like to go year by year. He like to say, hey, 3 years. That's how he can measure an investment, 3 to 5, right? So I always look at the S&P. How do you know what your investments are doing? Most people, most financial advisors, including myself, people in my industry, over 96% will not beat it over time. Right? So when you see people online, let me ask people, this is common sense. I tell people use common sense. Let's look at this, Graffiti. If you discovered you at home, you got a money machine. I mean, you literally can hit the print button, print out whatever you want.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And spend it. You discovered this machine. You went to Home Depot. And you got a let's say you went to Best Buy, got a printer, and it prints out money.
Okay.
What would you do with it?
I mean, first of all, I'm printing some money, but then I'm going to try to figure out how to profit off of. I got technology brain, so I'm about to figure out how this works, and I'm about to duplicate this and try to make more money
now
by selling this to other people.
Now, would you create an ad on YouTube to tell people how to print their own money?
Hell nah. I see what you did there. I got it.
You get what I'm saying?
I got it.
So when you watch this stuff online, like, hey, man, I'm going to show you how to. When people know how to print money, they ain't going to tell you.
Yeah.
They going to shut up and make their money.
I think there's two ways to go. So it kind of falls into what we're talking about with the content, too, because from, a moral community side, if I know it's not going to affect my money at all because I got this machine, I'm printing money, and you my mans or you my peoples, I'm going to tell you how to print this money,
so
too.
You're going to tell me one-on-one. You're going to pick your audience.
I'm either going to pick your audience.
You're going to pick your
I'm
audience.
Tell you. I'm going to tell you.
You're going to be like, hey, bro, I got something for you.
Yeah.
But you're not going to be like, hey, anybody, go get this machine because you know it's going to shut down what you're doing.
That's what I'm saying. If it's not going to affect what I'm doing, I'm going to tell you. But if not, then I'm going to sell you the information.
But logically thinking, 9 times out of 10, if Best Buy knew they was giving out a money machine, which probably was going to happen.
They're not going to say,
They're probably not going to tell you. How many people, so when you look at it from a logical standpoint, where people know how to get money and raise money and do whatever the case may be, they don't call you.
Got it.
Right?
Got it.
So when I walk in there, people who know how to just sit back and they don't need you, they're going to sit there and print their own money. They're going to make their money and go about their business.
Yeah.
So that's a simple, I wouldn't create a YouTube channel and pay for ads.
Yeah.
Why would I do that? Why would I just print my money?
Yeah.
So if I'm online trading every day, right, I'm jumping in and out of trades or whatever. So you got to think about it. Use a common sense. What is the reason the New York Stock Exchange is there?
I mean, to do their business, to handle the stocks and exchange money, manage money.
The biggest thing, the reason New York Stock is to raise money for corporations.
Yeah, okay.
Like if you and I created the Connect, right? And you come to me like, hey, Prince, man, I want to take the Connect to another level and I want to get it traded on the New York Stock Exchange.
Yeah.
The only reason why we want to go there is to get money.
Yeah.
To make money, for people to invest it to us. But now if all three of us are going in here and opening up a laptop and printing out money, the thing will collapse.
Yeah, for sure.
You have to have more donors than takers.
Yeah.
Because if it was the case, you remember everybody was short squeezing GameStop?
Yeah.
GameStop, AMC. What did the SEC do? They went in there and froze the accounts.
Can't do that no more.
This is because it's regulated. Even if you was to day trade, you just can't go print out, make $1,000 and trade it until you know it.
Yeah.
Your money has to rest for 3 days.
Right.
Because they're looking to see if you connected with some BS, they'll freeze it. They can shut down your broker account because guess what? Go out and read Jesse Livermore, the greatest trader ever.
Jesse Livermore,
the world greatest trader, I think his name. And he talked about he ended up committing suicide. This dude used to print money at the turn of the 19th century, right? But the market was so dirty. It was pumping. It was a wild, wild west.
Yeah.
There was no SEC. There was no regular. Why we have regulatory bodies now? Because of the crap that they was doing in the early 20s.
Got it.
That's why they said, okay, look, Prince, if you want to be a financial advisor, you need to register with us. And you're going to get audited. And you have to have this paperwork. And you have to, it's all written in blood. Because somebody along the path, along the way, got together, all that little short squeeze and stuff. Like, dude, this ain't nothing new.
Yeah.
The reason why you think it's new because you don't know the history.
Right.
And the reason why you don't know the history, because if you wasn't alive back then, you have to read it or be lucky enough to know somebody that was living during that time. So most people don't read.
Yeah.
Right? Most people don't buy books no more. You go to somebody's house and see their bookshelf.
Yeah.
The TVs got bigger, the bookshelves got smaller.
Yeah.
Growing up, everybody had an encyclopedia case or everybody had bookshelves. Now, them things are gone. So back in the day, you could not get an edge over the newspaper because everybody read the same Wall Street Journal. So everybody thought the same. Nowadays, you can read the Wall Street Journal and get an edge because nobody's reading no more.
Yeah.
If, like, on my channel, on the Investor Show, I show people, no, we're going to go to the SEC.gov. We're going to go to read a 10Q. We're going to go read a 10K, right? We're going to read it verbatim. We're going to look up the balance sheet.
Right.
We're going to look at the cash flow statement. You know, we're going to look at the income statement.
Yeah.
These are the three things. This is the network of this company. This is the network of its competitor.
See, and that's what I like. That's what I like about the Investor Show, because you're walking through how to discover the information versus, like you said, everybody's kind of just out here just willy-nilly. Willy-nilly. I ain't never said that on my damn podcast. Everybody out here willy-nilly.
Yeah.
And it's like, yo, you want to make $10,000? Start an LLC, and they just give you common sense, but it's not really actual tangible information on how to get money. And you're actually walking through how to go find the information.
I tell people, pack up your tackling box. We're gonna go fishing.
For sure, man. So
because if you teach a man to fish, you feed him for life.
Facts.
Right? You give the man a fish. You know what I mean? Because so when somebody asks you something, you can't sit back and say, man, I was watching an Investor Show and this dude said, nah, man.
Yeah.
This dude's reading a 10K to me. This dude's reading a 10Q to me. He read the competitors. He compared Lyft and Uber. Yeah. That's how he knew Uber was the one. Yeah. Right? Because I know how to break things down into sectors. Now I like, hey, you got to understand. Another book I'm going to reference is The Little Book That Still Beats the Market by Joel Greenblatt, right? Okay. And I probably mispronounced his name, but his last name, but his name Joel. And it's the little book. And he says sometimes you got to be wrong for 3 to 5 years. And most people, he said, but if you know the fundamentals and you know the finances, you're okay with that because eventually the market will reward you, right? People will eventually catch on to the finances at some time or another, because just because the stock is going up doesn't mean the finances are good. Right. Just because the stock is going down doesn't mean the finances are bad. For prime example, when the pandemic happened, you see all the stocks collapse. Yeah. Berkshire Hathaway, ran by Warren Buffett, was still a juggernaut. Why did it collapse? Why did it fall? It wasn't indicative of the fundamentals. So I'm a fundamental person. I don't watch the day-to-day. I watch the day-to-day sometimes and know what's going on in the market and how the market is reacting. But I don't react to the market when I know the finances. Yeah. And I watch the finances.
You said the key word, knowing the fundamentals, man. So before we wrap, I want to get to what we got on this table right here.
Oh, yeah.
So Wesley Learns, man. What's going on? These books.
Oh, yeah. So, my first book came out 2015, which is 9 years ago now, right? Okay. June will be 9 years for when I self-published my first book. And Wesley is he's about to turn 13, 12-year-old son, right? So he would bring home children's books, and it would be like books about, arithmetic. They wasn't bad. They were decent books, but I felt it wasn't about nothing. I felt like, hey, this, and the money books that I saw were about saving. What is $1? What is a quarter? Hey, start your business. I was like, man, you know what? We're living in a society where savings accounts are at an all-time low, and you're looking at inflation at an all-time high. See, 80 years ago, not 80, but in the 80s, you could save and actually get 3 to 4% off a savings account. That's kind of coming back now. But nowadays, when you're looking at inflation, you have to invest. There's no if and buts about it. So I said, hey, why aren't we investing for children? Why aren't we teaching our kids about investing? And hence to me writing that book, Wesley Learns to Invest, was my first book, came out and self-published it in 2015. And then in 2017, I came back with Wesley Learns About Credit.
Got it.
Right. Then I moved here in 2017. I started writing a children's book on insurance. I ran across, Terrell Davis, NFL Hall of Famer, Bronco, Denver legend. He ran across my first 2 books and said, man, you know what? Put me in your next book, Yeah. And he wanted to do one on, I said, well, I'm doing one on insurance. He's like, what? I said, I don't do what's popular. I do what's important. Right. I don't do what I can do for numbers or for people to this will be acceptable or whatever. I just want to bring up the awareness. And if you like what I do, cool. So I did one. I wrote a children's book on insurance. And you look around the world, I ain't seen nobody that did a children's book on insurance, investing, credit, insurance, or whatever. Right. So I did investing, credit, insurance. And then the pandemic happened, 2020. And then I kind of got off my rocker with 2020. 2021, we still was coming out of the pandemic, and I knew I wanted to do one on real estate.
Right.
And, it's in every one of these books. I tell you, the first book, this thing is to look at, and you'll see this in our first children's book, look at what your children like and buy into what your children like, right? I published that 9 years ago, right? Because children are the future. The reason why you're watching Marvels be so excellent is because we just got grown and we go to the movie theaters now. Instead of watching on Saturday morning, we grew into it.
Yeah.
So watching what your kids do, investing into what your kids like. And then the second book was credit, was teaching parents you can start building your children's credit. Add your kid, add the kid on as a credit card and stuff like that or whatever. And the third book was talking about insurance, where you can purchase insurance for a child, right? So with me, in my case, I wasn't able to do it like I wanted to because my son has autism, right? So when he was in his very younger years, they were like, hey, he was getting denied for coverage until he got a little bit older. So my whole premise was behind that was, hey, teaching kids about insurance. And then the real estate one, it's a gem at the end. Another one that I tell people related around kids. So all these things, no matter what you do in life, you will need these topics.
For sure.
That's why I decided to
that's
come
vital.
out with these.
That's important. That's the stuff, in school we learned about everything but real life. And they used to be like, man, you're going to need this information. We go, no, man, we need this now, information.
Because
credit, investing, insurance, how to take care of yourself. Like I said, your mentals, all that stuff that you don't learn in school, that's vital.
Here's the thing about your finances, right? The financial industry is the only industry where you have to educate people before you can sell them a product.
Yeah.
A barber doesn't have to sit down and be like, Graffiti, this is why you need a haircut. A realtor doesn't say, hey, Graffiti, this is why you need a house.
Yeah.
You could think of any industry, right? It's kind of self-explanatory. We know this is why you need to buy clothes or whatever, right? The financial industry, before you can sell a product, you got to go through, okay, guys, this is what investing is.
Yeah.
This is what it's going to do.
It's all education.
Over time, you have to do all this education and seminars and webinars before you can even think about that. And I think that's a crime shame. We're in America, and you live in America where we're known for capitalism, and you can go through the whole education system and know nothing about capital. And I have a foundation that I started in 2017, the Global Children Financial Literacy Foundation, where we turn kids into first-time shareholders of stock.
Nice.
And our ultimate goal is for every kid in America, when they walk into kindergarten, to have an investment account. Because right now, the financial industry is built upon lineage. If you're on the right side of the track and your uncle is Prince or your dad is, take Wesley. If Wesley was born on the other side of the tracks, guess what? It don't matter what they taught him in school. He can't do nothing with it.
Yeah.
So that's a crime,
I
believe. So I'm like, hey, everybody want to wait till you turn 18. Then they got scholarships. Then they got loans and grants. And
then they take advantage of you with all that because they know you don't know.
Credit card. Now everybody want to help you when you turn 18. Why not redirect that funding to kindergartners? That's my ultimate goal. But instead of looking at the system saying what you should do, I look in the mirror and say, well, this is what I'm going to do. So we've given out the S&P 500, Nike, Coca-Cola, been doing it now for, 7-8 years now.
Yeah.
And we're going to continue to do it. And even at our book launch on April 12th at the Denver Broncos Boys and Girls Club, we're going to be graduating kids and turning kids into first-time shareholders of stock. On that day alone, we're going to give away $3,000 worth of stocks of kids, 2 schools and the Boys and Girls Club.
Man, that's fire, man. That's fire.
Sir.
This is vital information, y'all. This is vital information. I could have came on and be like, hey, man, tell me how to flip this 22. You know what I mean? But no, it's the foundations. Man.
Let me get into that. The reason why you see a lot of us do that is because, shout out to Angel Rich. She wrote a great book called The History of the Black Dollar.
Okay.
Right? So economically, minority communities are so far behind because you weren't even able to play the game, right? So when you're so far behind, that's like you take, let's take Brandon, your producer.
Yeah.
Imagine somebody says, y'all in a race, somebody tell him to go, and they tell you to stop. So y'all in a, let's say y'all running a mile. So they let him get a lap and a half in front of you. Then they tell, hey, Graffiti, go ahead, go. You're going to take off sprinting because you're so far behind.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why you see us. We looking for the flippity flip, floppity flop, whatever. And with all that flippity flop, ain't none of y'all matching up to Warren.
That's real. Shouts to Dan.
Right?
Yeah.
So when people look at that, people are looking like so many people are thirsty. They're willing to do anything because we trying to survive. We hungry. You over here talking about looking at what this Warren is doing. Warren is on generation number 10.
Yeah.
You saw who brought the Broncos?
Yeah.
That's the Walmart family.
That's the
They're buying
Walmart
sports
family.
for. So you're in there trying to like, man, I need
Lineage.
I'm trying to own 10 houses or whatever. Not saying you can't do it, but you have to realize, dude, y'all are just learning about the stock market. People wrote the book on this 100 years ago.
Yeah.
So you behind. So when people are behind, they'll do anything to catch up. They'll do, hey, it's easier to scam poor people than it is rich people.
That's a fact.
So that's why people are, yo, man, what's the play for the day? Get me, and people are so tuned in and that people watching that because when somebody's choking you, you don't care about nothing else. You're trying to stop that pressure from being choked.
That's it, man. So Prince, man, I know we're gonna have to loop back, man. It's a lot more still to talk about, but I do gotta wrap up. So just let the people know how to find you, how to tune in, all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can find me anywhere, everywhere. The Investor Show. That's right. You could type in Prince Dykes on Google, PRINCEDYKES, and you'll see a little goofy guy that looks like me who's going around writing cartoons and children's books. But yeah, you can find me on Instagram on the Investor Show, YouTube on the Investor Show. I'm on LinkedIn. My podcast, Investor Show, is everywhere you could get podcasts. And stay tuned, locked in, and also check out the Wesley Learns book series. If you like what we do, you want to help out what we do, reach out to us at info@gclf.org. Check out our foundation, and that's me.
Man, my guy. That's how I know you do this for real too, because you ran through them smooth.
Oh yeah, dude. Easy every day.
Light work, my man. Prince Dykes.
Man, appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Let's connect. I'm Graffiti.